What's up? What's up? I'm gonna make this quick video. I made a disturbing revelation and realization. There is nothing on earth designed, dedicated to help the American Negro as far as business development, business financing, capital acquisition. We are on our own. Usually when you see a young black entrepreneur, especially a successful young black entrepreneur, they got it straight from the mud. They saved their money, they made wise decisions, wise investments, and they were just lucky. There was no bank financing. There was no business development center, a minority business development grant, a minority loan, because we know minority grants and loans only help non-Negroes, Africans, Hispanics, East Indians, Asians, Arabs, Middle Easterns, homosexuals, white women. But there's nothing for us young black entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs. And the worst part about it, we have a class of Negroes who, because of John D. Rockefeller, they believe that they're talented 10th Negroes. They're better than the rest of us because they went to a college, HBCU, and pledged their oath, sold their soul to Satan to get plugged in, juiced into the matrix. And for the rest of their lives, they do nothing for the rest of the Negroes, just for themselves. They could have set up a business development organization to help the black people finance businesses, finance homes, build communities, but they was too busy worrying about their own self. What do Nasheed say? The Democrat Du Bois, Roland Martin, when he was on top, when he was a Democrat token, he had nothing to say about so-called black power issues, but once he got fired, thrown out the window, now the nigga want to talk about what blacks need, how much unemployment. But Du Bois, what did you do when you had the power? When you had the ear of Obama, you had the ear of Hillary Clinton, all the Democrats, when you had their ear, what did you tell them to do? Nothing. You Negroes did nothing. You black boule Greek niggas did nothing. And not even just them. It's a whole culture of disdain and disregard in the so-called Negro community where they don't even want to support you. They're more inclined to support an East Indian or a Mexican business before a so-called black business. So there's nobody willing to support and help an aspiring young Negro, American Negro entrepreneur. They want us to go and get these so-called jobs, these unsecured jobs in which they can fire you for any reason at will. You know, at least when you're an entrepreneur, you can't be fired. But with entrepreneurship, the most important aspects is capital and customers. And without capital, you can't get the customers unless you have an idea. And you can get the customers to pre-purchase your idea, like what the Nasheed dude does with his scam documentaries. His customer base pre-orders and finances the product before the product exists. But if you have a good idea and a consumer base, then you can be successful. But if you have the capital, the product, without the customers, you will fail. So the customer is the most important aspect. But once you get the customer, you must have a product or service to sell or to provide, you know. And your service and product must be good. It must be the best. But the most important aspect is the customer base. And the American Negro is not a loyal consumer. That's why the dollar stays in the community less than 1 second, because they give it to everybody except their own people. They take joy and pleasure in financing everybody except their own people. So us entrepreneurs, us young Negro entrepreneurs are up against an uphill, impossible battle because we don't have a dedicated consumer base. We don't have anyone interested in helping our endeavors as far as capital. Really, I would say this. We don't have black institutions looking to help our businesses. Because I have 2 bank accounts with black banks, one United and Liberty Bank and Trust, right? And I have money sitting in them bank accounts. And what them black banks do, they will take all of your money and charge you these bank fees. And your money will be swallowed up if you just leave your money in a black bank. It's always a dishonest scam when it comes to black people. Scam. The bank I have with the white bank, which is U.S. Bank, if I have a certain amount of money in there, they waive the fee, the maintenance fee. But not the black bank, though. The so-called black bank is robbing you left and right. And the so-called black bank do not offer any products, any loans, any credit, any lines of credit, any credit card, nothing. So why do I have these black bank accounts? What do I have these black bank accounts for? No auto loans with the black bank, nothing. Nothing. I have no nothing with these black banks. But with U.S. Bank, my accounts, all the accounts I have is with the white banks or the so-called white-owned institutions. What? American Express, Discover, but not the Negro. You can't get nothing out the Negro. So they got to step their game up, and they got to be more willing to invest in the young people, these Negro institutions. Otherwise, they're useless. They should be they should go extinct. All the Negroes, the old Negroes who went and voted for Joe Biden, who's just wasting money on his pipe dream of somehow defeating Russia in a proxy war with Ukraine, draining billions of dollars that could have been used to develop all of these vacant business corridors in the black communities all over America. Billions of dollars wasted trying to fight Ukraine. And these Negroes who voted for this dude have nothing to say about it. Who's not advocating for any of the money that you're giving to Ukraine, that you're giving to these illegal aliens. Nothing is going to the young black entrepreneur. Nothing is going to the future. And then the Negro female, they talk about they're the leader of the Negro community. But how can you be a leader when you don't have any institutions? Look at Venus and Serena Williams. They was developed by the black man, their father, King Richard Williams, right? He led them into glory. Now these old women in their 40s trying to steal, instead of them getting a young protege, how come they couldn't develop a couple of young black girls to take on the mantle? Because they're not leaders. They can't do it. They can't raise up a generation of successful so-called black women because they didn't even raise their own selves up. Most of these black women, they are working in a white-owned corporation. They don't own anything. They don't have anything. They the token position. You can't be a leader if you don't own anything. You don't have any power. You don't have any. You know what? They got the black so-called Jamaican East Indian vice president who has nothing to say, who has no voice, no power, been there for 3 years, and we haven't heard not one complete speech from this lady in 3 years. Just wasting time. The black woman is an abject failure because for the last 60 years, they've been satisfied laying on the welfare, laying on their behinds, working for the white man, talking all this independent, killing all the babies with these abortions, and look up, you got nothing. They bastard kids are robbing everybody. jacking everybody, killing everybody. They produced a whole generation of failure, talking about they're the leader. You are the leader of failure because you own nothing. You don't have any institutions. You haven't started anything. The most you ever did was go to a college and get a job from a white man. You haven't started anything. You don't own anything. You're a complete failure. That's why you're getting fired right now, because you don't own nothing. You don't have what it takes to be in charge and to lead, because you got to be willing to sacrifice. You got to be willing to invest. You got to be willing to own something. You got to be willing to help somebody other than your own self. And a Negro community, they do not help anybody but their own self. They don't help anybody but the white man, the Mexican, the East Indian, the Arab, who's controlling the economics in the so-called Negro community. And the so-called Negro male, who actually got the people free from slavery,